After having as many as 14 speedway tracks at one time or another around London, it was decided last week the final team left racing in the capital will not operate next year. The Lakeside Hammers, although they've already moved from their home track at the Essex Arena Essex Raceway to Rye House in Hertfordshire, had been the last team left in the capital for a number of years now. The Hammers co-promoters Stuart Douglas and John Cook released a statement this week announcing that the club's licence is now on ice following the British Speedway Promoters Association annual general meeting. Cook commented, "The unfortunate reality of the current situation is that we had no serious third-party interest in taking up the offer of continuing the Hammers on track next season." Well, I'm delighted to say that the co-promoter for the Hammers, John Cook, is on the line now. Good evening to you, John.
Good evening.
Well, I mean, this is a real shame, isn't it? I mean, it's not something that you and Stuart would have done with nothing more than heavy hearts.
Yeah, it's a crying shame, really, because we moved to Rye House for a short period at the end of the year, and the British Speedway Promoters Association wouldn't sanction us using Rye House for a full season next year because of the manner in which Rye House and themselves fell out over the course of last year, and Rye House didn't actually complete the season as a club. So that obviously gave us no home and no options. We were hoping that with maybe third-party investment we could go forward, but obviously that's not been a reality. And the simple fact of the matter was that we were not going to be able to use Rye House anyway. So we were without a track, and we have to now take the fight to another level, and that may take a considerable period of time. We can't put a time on it, but we know what's happened at two other tracks. Oxford, closed in 2007, and it's still closed, but it's still a speedway track. There's no houses built on it, and it's an ongoing battle with the council to keep speedway in whatever happens. And at Swindon last week, the council made the very big statement that on the land there where some houses have already been built, the new Speedway Stadium has to be built before any more houses are built. And, the Arena Essex site is so massive, and it's common knowledge that half of the site is not suitable for housing. It's only suitable for warehouse or, daily use. It seems incredible to me that, Thurrock councils can't bang on the door of the developers, and as much as they're insisting that a speedway track is built somewhere else in the borough, if we can find the land, well, there's a whole load of land at the site where we were. So for us to move to another part of that site that's more polluted stands to reason, because it's exactly what's happening in Swindon, and no one in Thurrock wants to see a site empty like Oxford's been for over 10 years now. So, Joe Strummer of the Clash said when big money moves in, big money doesn't muck around. He didn't use the word muck, but no. Joe never did. And let's be fair, the people of Thurrock and the Thurrock borough and outside of that deserve sport, because, as we say time and again, shopping is not, a leisure facility. We need the sport to be saved. The crowds, both at Speedway and Stock Cars, have been absolutely incredible over those last few meetings, and it just shows the demand is there, and the land is there. There's so much land there. That is our primary concern now, and we have two people we're taking on to just bang and bang and bang on the door. We'll be having a fans meeting so the fans can get behind us in every way, shape or form, and we'll keep fighting until the door is slammed firmly shut in our faces. But that will take a long time.
The licence is on ice. That means that if you can find a solution, then the Hammers could still race again. Would it be possible for next season, or are we talking the season after?
It's certainly not going to be possible for next season. We would need a complete change of heart on the Rye House situation from the British Speedway Promoters Association. I can't see that happening, and we would need someone to come forward that would want to get involved with us, because the cost of the relocation to Rye House was way beyond the means of myself and Stuart. That would have to be something of a vanity project for whoever got involved with us. They wouldn't be going in it to make any money or to do anything other than lose a fortune just to keep the Hammers name going, and that's the truth of the matter. Our future lays in Thurrock. Thurrock Council have already said, money has to be found to help us relocate. We're saying let's not relocate, let's just move to part of that land that's beyond the use of housing. It makes sense on every single level, and we could be running back in the 2020 season common sense and knocking heads together can take place. But at the moment, we're coming up against a brick wall with developers not answering our emails, whereas before we did actually have quite a good rapport with them until, of course, we were gone. And maybe that therein lies a tale.
And Stuart, your co-promoter, Stuart Douglas, said he was standing down from day-to-day running of the club. I mean, I suppose it's difficult to run something that isn't actually doing what its primary function is.
No, well, there is no day-to-day running of the club. Well, there won't be from when we tie up the end of this season, which obviously will still take a number of weeks because we were forced to run 4 meetings in 8 days, which has come at quite a loss to us, which, we're obviously working through. But myself and Stuart obviously will move on to other projects, but I'll still be very much supporting the couple of people that will be working towards our future and will attend any meetings at the drop of a hat that involve thorough called developers. We're not giving up lightly, and Stuart, of course, is in LA. He's based in LA now, has been for some time. But once we win this fight, and believe you me, we will win it. If there's no breath left in our bodies, we will win this. Then Stuart will obviously be over for the first meeting, and we'll both be standing proudly on the centre green with a great, amazing group of supporters, an amazing backup group of people around us that deserve to enjoy their speedway racing and the capital. As you said, once had 14 teams, you could go to a speedway track every night of the week in London, and now you can't go to the one that was a stone's throw from the M25, and the one that's 4 stones throws from the M25 is not allowed to run either. So that seems pretty crazy to me.
I mean, it's depressing and sad from the sports point of view, full stop, isn't it, really, and for Speedway fans in this part of the world. As you say, you'll keep fighting and keep fighting. Are you confident that you can arrive at a conclusion for the season after next?
I think what's happened at Swindon last week is absolutely massive, and I know that our local MP is very good friends with the local MP from Swindon, which is also a fantastic fact. But, Swindon have houses built so close to the pits that you can look into the people's windows. And what is basically happening there is the stadium is rotating round to allow more building space for houses, so it totally proves that speedway and housing can live absolutely as close to one another as a garden backing onto a speedway track, as happens at Exeter and as happens now at Poole, the most successful club in the country. So the noise and all that kind of thing is a misnomer. A speedway stadium can provide with it facilities like a crash in a gym that a large housing estate cries out for. It's just a common sense solution, and I don't understand why we even have to be battling for it. It just is so straightforward. I would like you guys to ask the developers why. Have you got against this? You were going to build a velodrome, but there's another velodrome that's underused just 10, 12 miles away, so they've decided not to build that now. It seems crazy. A velodrome is even the same shape as a speedway track. When we saw the plans, we thought, here we go, common sense has prevailed, but it just hasn't. So we must just keep fighting.
Well, John, listen, best of luck with the fight, because it's a real shame that a sport that has touched so many people over the years and continues to, as you say, with your fans, is not going to have representation anywhere near London for the time being. But hopefully that is a brief hiatus. John, thanks for your time this evening on BBC Radio.
Thank you for your time and support. Thank you for your support over the years. It's been incredible. Thank you.
Well, hopefully that's a support that we can continue with on BBC Radio London. John Cook, the co-promoter there at the Hammers. It is extraordinary to think there were years ago, and there are tomes, there are books and fascinating stories about the number of speedway teams that used to compete in London. As John was saying, people would choose a different night and a different track to go and watch their speedway on. Helped save Wembley, the original Wembley Speedway and the Dogs. It wasn't working for football, and Speedway and the Dogs actually saved Wembley. Thousands used to turn up at White City and down at Wimbledon, and well, it's not necessarily as positive these days. But we'll keep you in touch with that story and whether the Hammers can come back and ride again. I'm sure that every best effort will be made in order to do so. Let's quickly pop to the O2. We're heading towards the men's singles.